Look, I need you watching our backs. You're a better shot than I am.
Huh, really?
No?
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Gears of War 4 Insane Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Act 1, Chapter 3, New Friends, and it starts real fast, in your face, against these heavy DBs who use a weapon that is new to the game called the Overkill. And I say new to the game, it's not really new. Remember those people who really like the sawn-off? Well, it's essentially that. This is a shotgun that fires 4 times incredibly quickly. It's kind of insane. I like it a lot, but that's just because I liked the sawn-off. I imagine in the multiplayer this is going to be a nightmare. But the good thing is, you cannot start with it. It is a pick-up weapon in the multiplayer, just like the Retro Lancer, which is going to make a lot of people sad. A lot of scrubs happy, because they couldn't deal with it, but a lot of experienced players will be a little pissed. But this fight, I like to move across to this container. I like to use it as cover. You'll notice I've got the Markser rifle. This is a good gun to use all the bullets in, and then give it to your buddies, because they'll reload it and use it. How I generally like to do it is I like to give my team 2 weapons that are of above quality of the starter weapons. So I like to give them snipers, I like to give them, you know, if I can I'll give them the Retro Lancer or an Overkill or some kind of unique weapon like a Markser or one of the sniper rifles that the DBs use called the, is it the Ember? I can't remember its name. You'll see it on the screen and we'll learn it together. The Markser's a fantastic gun, it just doesn't have enough ammo. And you can get reloads of it from the stacks in the game, but it's one of those things where, like, I want to like it more than I do. I don't know if anyone's the same with that. I don't know if I used it a lot in my Judgment walkthrough, because I can't even remember that game at all, but it's one of those guns that I like the sound of it, I like the idea of it. Gears to me is a game where I put a lot of bullets down range, so when I use a gun that doesn't shoot very fast or shoot all that much, I want it to feel like it's doing things, and I don't get that with the Markser sometimes. That was dangerous. So the biggest threat this guy poses, the big dude with the shotgun, is the shotgun instantly kills up close. You see that, what he did then? That will squash you instantly. He can jump over cover, land on you, and it instantly jibs you. It's bullshit. It's really bullshit, because when he's close, everything he does kills, and this right now, walk up to him, trigger his explodey thing, and then just roll away. You are never really in danger. The only threat there is if anybody's in the room with you, they'll shoot you, and it can hurt, because he'll finish you off. But the general problem with that enemy is you can shoot them to stop them from doing the detonation thing, or there's no collision on the Fabricator too, which is nice, even though it does look a bit kind of cheesy. But I like to trigger it myself. If he's coming for you, run towards him, and then just back away. If you're not familiar with how to move in Gears, if you roll, after your roll, if you hold A and any direction, you will sprint in that direction. So roll backwards and hold backwards in A, and you will immediately transition into a sprint running the opposite direction to what you were facing, and you'll get away from him every time. There's no reason to die to the exploding DBs, outside of you didn't know he was there. That happens, it's just how the game works. You'll notice I do have the Overkill on my back. You might wonder how it works. The gun has 2 shots of 2. When you press the trigger once, it will fire the first 2. When you release the trigger, as in negative edge it will fire the final 2. So you can do this really interesting thing with it where if you press and hold the trigger, you will condense the spray of the second release. So when you press the trigger to shoot, the first 2 shots will be standard. If you hold it, you will make it a more lethal, compacted spread of pellets for the last shot. So it gives it a little bit of strategy other than just bang bang and do 2 crazy shots which have massive spray, but you can use it like that because it's really powerful. And I use it as a get out of my face card, and you'll see it works very effective. If you hit people right with it, you can instantly kill the standard DBs. But those shot grenades are so good here, and this is another one of those fights where I think you can use the Fabricator to reload your weapons and stuff, so don't be afraid to use items. The only issue there is that once the fight ends, the Fabricator closes and you cannot access it, which is dumb as shit, but it is what it is. And this guy, with the turret, do not test the damage of that turret. He will make you burst so fast, it's not even funny. That right there is a decent strategy as well. If you put one blind fire shot into the DBs, you can then pull out your snub and blind fire them and kill them with a couple of hits, because it does enough damage to push them to a threshold so you don't have to waste too much ammo. And then here comes another one of these dudes, and then my team does a decent job of distracting him, which we've come to the point where I should probably discuss the team because it's important. Remember Gears 2, when your team could go down and they could bleed out and you failed? Can you remember how much that pissed you off on Insane and how you thought it shouldn't be a mechanic? Well, in this game it isn't. And I don't think it worked that way. Did it work that way in 3? I can't remember. I don't think they could bleed out, but I think they could be executed, couldn't they? And that's what fucked it up. Or was that only in co-op? It's been a long time. Let's talk about this game, because that's where we know for sure. In this game, when they are down, they will never bleed out. It is a wonderful, wonderful return to greatness, because that's how it should be, dude. You should never fail in a game, single player, because of your team. It's just, it's so archaic at this point. It's one of those draconian rules that never had a point of being, and it lingers. It happens more than you'd think, and this game just gets rid of that. But do you know what happens when both your team goes down? Everybody who's left comes for you, and they come for you roadie running, so you need to be prepared because it gets really hairy. And once again, guys, I would love to tell you that being up close and personal with the Locust is a winnable strategy, but you can melee them twice and they don't die on Insane. They melee you once and you instantly die. If you have a shotgun, they have a shotgun, they're going to beat you because they can control the spread of the pellets and you can't. You know, it's unfortunate. Oh, is this where I get confused over the guns? It might be. You can pick up a white version of this gun, you can pick up a blue version, so I was just like, what's the difference? Because I didn't realise in my first playthrough there was a difference. Look at that gun though, dude. I love this gun. I kind of wish you could start with it too, but I understand why you can't. Then again, apparently in the multiplayer, the Gnasher is so strong at one-shot killing people at like 10 feet, because it's ridiculous, that would it make much of a difference? I don't think it would. Apparently the Lance is so strong as well that people go down really quick, so I'm excited to see how they've changed the multiplayer, because a lot of people bitching. But that's Gears, you know? Ever since Gears 1, people have bitched about the wall bouncing and the shotguns. Everybody's bitched about the Lancer on Host and, you know, the active downs and all the different things that they had to get used to. And when we played, did it piss you off? Yeah, definitely, but you got used to it. You know, use teamwork, rush the power weapons, control the power weapons. You know, stay in cover, that's another thing. Use cover intelligently and know when not to use cover. These things that people just don't use in Gears. You know, there's a choice there. People aren't just running out of cover like nutters. They're doing it because there's a decision behind it. Gears is surprisingly more tactical than people think, and they jump into it thinking you can just run around lancing, and it doesn't work. You know, you've got to understand the camera, understand everything, like... That's why I loved it so much, because you spent more time at those stalemates where you were wedging your face in the corner of a doorway trying to look around the side, and there was another guy trying to do the same to you, and it was a one-on-one, and you know, you were just waiting for somebody to make that mistake. And how many times did you have those wonderful stalemates that ended in such violence? Like, that's what made Gears so great. It wasn't about everybody rushing in and shooting, although if you had a shotgun, it was down. You know, that's how that was going to end. Because there was nothing more fun than noticing some guys running at you with a shotgun and realising it's shotgun time. Because that was... oh, wow. The shotguns were so inconsistent, man. I loved them. You could feel like a god one moment, and the other time you would put 5 shots in a guy and he would not die. He would be 50 Cent. He was the host. He couldn't kill him. But here is Gears 4, and here is more of the R2-D2 dudes. So you're going to get rushed by another grenade guy. I can't stress just how much this dude hurts when he hits, and he can hit me. See that? Oh yes. Anything else touches me at that point, like that guy just then, I'm dead. Notice how I took cover against Oscar instead of the wall because he was in the way? Oh, are we going to talk about that later? You're going to love it. That was lucky though, there's no way I should have lived then. Just chalk it in the column of all the people who doubt the difficulty. I've put 3 videos of Gears of War 4 up on the channel, and each of them has been on Insane because I've not played this game on any other thing, and already all 4 of those videos have had people saying it's not on Insane because the internet is full of retards, unfortunately, and they're all the ones fucking voting. Yep, and we wonder why society's doomed. We're doomed. But there's a nice drop shit that comes in there. Drop shit? It's Nice way of saying it, I guess. But that is a Condor, the plane that flew over. It drops in these crazy looking... I don't even know what you would call those shapes, because I don't know how many sides they have, but they look pretty cool anyway. They look kind of Tronian and futuristic, and they spawn enemies. It's a different way of spawning is all. The good news is, everything that comes out of those shapes does the Terminator entrance. If they start kneeling and they have to stand. They're not naked, thankfully. They're not as sexy as Arnie was, but it gives you an opportunity to spawn kill them. And there's a few instances too, when the Locusts emerge. Spoiler alert, you know it was coming, it's Gears of War. There are times when they have trouble triggering their scripting, where you can have moments where they'll stand just outside the emergence hole for a few seconds, and if you've got a rifle, you've took the head already, which is wonderful, but not so good for them. And that is also an interesting spawn too. Occasionally the game will throw dynamic spawns at you, people busting through walls. It's nothing you've not seen before. The Boomers did it in the first game. It's something that we're aware of. There's no fanfare though, which makes it a bit more dynamic and a bit more fun, which I really like. I like the lack of cutscene for that. So I'm going to give her an overkill. The one thing I don't like about the weapons here is if you're not in range to give people weapons, you will cancel the aiming with a roll, and you'll roll like a tit. And your team does this wonderful thing where they all fuck off. So you're running around a battlefield picking up weapons to give them good shit, and they've all gone. And I hate that. And then what will happen, you'll spend 5 minutes scouring the battlefield to equip your team with all the right setup, then you'll get to the next fight and there's been no checkpoint. So when you die, you've got to do it all again. And it comes back to that same argument that I'm going to have this entire walkthrough. The checkpoints in this game are not built for challenge, fun or utility. They're just put in there to make certain sections more punishing and unnecessary. Like, these snipers kill you instantly. If they clock you with that gun they have, you're dead. There's no arguments, there's no middle ground, you're dead. And you fight quite a lot of them, and it's the first game I've seen where the snipers are aggressive in the Gears series. I don't remember snipers rushing you. These snipers can. They can hip fire and instantly kill you. It's an interesting proposition, and it's kind of fun. I do appreciate them, because they're not strong. They take a couple of headshots, you put them down. But if you hear that noise, that zzz of them charging that gun, you better be in cover, because they can hit you in some ridiculous places. And there are certain fights where you don't even know there are snipers, and because the gun fires so fast, you die instantly, and you don't know why. I died instantly. Look, that's a sniper, by the way. Look at him. What's he doing? Guy's on like a guided tour. I've never seen snipers come that close. It's weird, but endearing too. And when you're not in cover, you're always worried because they do so much damage so quickly. I don't know why I'm not shooting his hand. There we go. Shoot him a bit. But there's the active. The actives, they're back. They do what they can. In the multiplayer, they've changed the actives. It's weird. Like, when you get an active, when you go for your next one, you don't have an active to go for, which I don't really get. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's new or old, but I don't remember that in Gears of War 3. I don't remember it in Gears of War 1. And I don't like it, because it seems dumb to me. Actives are an important part of the game, and you need to understand that. There are going to be moments in this game where I use actives a lot. This is the... I think it's called the... Look, it's like, won't let me give them fucking weapons just because they're carrying the Fabricator. All I want to do is give them the M-Bar, which is the DB Sniper, and I can't, because they're in this bullshit section. So they could have a really good gun that could help me out later on, and I can take it off them and then get the ammo that's in it and use it in a dire situation. Because the good thing about giving your team weapons is they don't use the ammo count that it had when you gave it to them. So if you give them a gun that's got... Except for the explosives, sorry. If you give them that M-Bar that had, 4 bullets in it, they'll always have that 4 bullets when you take it back off them. So if you get stuck with a sniper, take it off him and kill him. Oh, this is bad by me too. Do you notice how this area has a ton of these cranes where you can drop these pieces of geometry on them? I don't kill a single thing with any of these drops because I do them all too early. I really wanted to die so I could restart and get more dividends from dropping the environmental hazards, but I ended up surviving, so I kept it in to highlight my shame. But it's a cool new addition that's kind of always been there, but now it seems to be a bit more overt. Like in the old Gears, can you remember those white cylinders in Gears 1? They were explosives and they could do some interesting things in certain fights. It's just an extension of that, and I like the idea of having these moments where you can shoot, and they're all signified in Gears 4 by having some kind of orange and white stripe, as if to say, you cannot pass this area kind of thing, and that tells you that you can hit it and it'll do something. And it often turns up in the weather sequences, The weather sequences have a ton of environmental hazards. You can kill almost all the enemies in the weather moments without shooting them, and I like that. I think that's cool. The reason I liked the DBs at the beginning of this game is because when they spawned in those carriers. So if you knew where the carriers were, you could kill them before the fight began, and I enjoy that kind of design. Once it gets to this point, I find the robots to be a little less fun, because you can't do that anymore. You have to literally fight them, because they just get dropped in. And it makes it more challenging and more gameplay, but it doesn't enable a smart player to get an advantage, because now it's just a normal fight. But I run out of bullets, so I go and buy more of the Mercs, and I nearly died doing it because the guy at the distance has got the DB equivalent of the Mulcher. And a word of warning when you ever use the Mulcher, the minigun that he has, which is called, I think it's a Tri-Shot, the animation of propping it on cover and coming out of propping it on cover to go into cover is so long that on Insane you've got like a 1 in 3 chance of dying, so you've got to use it sparingly and use it at your own risk. You'll probably use it against the Swarmak at the end of the game, because you'll get to the point with that checkpoint where you're so sick of dying you don't care. You know, the checkpoint's not that bad, you don't care too much, you can die really fast on that fight anyway, so why not shoot it with a Mulcher, because it's a dick. I did that a lot to try and see if it was effective, and it didn't feel effective. But we'll talk plenty about that, because it's a 17-minute fight. And it's a 17-minute fight of my own choosing, and I think I might go in tonight and try and record the first 2 checkpoints again, to see if I can do it faster, because that fight sucks, dude. It's so bad. And it's gonna be the fuel for a conversation I might have in this video, or perhaps a separate video, which is essentially, the title will be Gears never had good bosses outside of the Berserker, because I love the Berserker, and I love her for so many reasons, which I'll probably discuss at a later point. But everything else, outside of how cool they were, and the environments you fought them in, they sucked. They really did. And even if you're a massive fanboy mechanically, they weren't good. And I'm talking on Insane. You can't be talking about them on normal, because they're not even bosses on normal. I mean on Insane, where things get real. You know, it changes the game, and they become just brick walls of RNG bullshit, and I've never liked that. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope this is helping. You're probably doing it in co-op anyway, in which you're having a tough time because co-op scales, and it's going to be hard, this one, I can tell. But it's always nice to have new faces, new voices, and to know that this is helping. So yeah, you take care now.